I have paid thousands of dollars for this feature, and now Phemex has basically made it free, which is super cool. Some of you might be thinking like, well, doesn't that upset you? Does that make you salty? No, not at all. I mean, now I get to use it for free when I was paying for it on a monthly recurring basis. And so anyway, I wanted to go over the Phemex trading platform with you today, talk about the trading bots, which is, that's the really, really cool thing. One of the things that sold me on Phemex specifically, it's really, really awesome. Like I said, I've used this and I've actually paid for this prior to using Phemex. So I find a ton of value, and I think you probably will as well. I also just want to go over a quick, kind of how to trade, how to leverage trade using the Phemex platform specifically, but also just kind of how to generally. So as you can see here, we have a couple of trades open. Given the recent dump in the market, not doing particularly great, but again, only down, about 20-ish%. I've gone very, very low leverage here, just because, I'm kind of playing more of the macro move. Maybe these end up not working out. Overall, it doesn't make a world of difference to me. I'm mainly just kind of trading here to make sure I'm staying involved in the market, engaged, all that type of stuff. But also, I'm wanting to make sure that I'm kind of practicing what I preach. Obviously, we could see we came in at a pretty good entry price. If we look at, this is Solana, we'll have to go to Bitcoin. We kind of came in at a price up here before we saw that break to the downside. Now, again, I was expecting this to be a possibility, which is why I did go very, very low leverage, because I'm not trying to get myself liquidated here. So anyway, that, as you can see here, Phemex has a lot of kind of capabilities here, whether you want to do cross or isolated margin. You can do varying margin positions up to 100x. Again, I very, very, very rarely do leverage up that high. Sometimes I will, but it's usually for very, very short-term scalp trades. And pretty much, let's be real, it's basically close to gambling, but I do it now and again, and I do have various uses for when I do that. Obviously, you can see here that the charts are really nice. They're just like a trading view plugin, very common for what you'll see here. I've got Bollinger Bands because I typically use Bollinger Bands to kind of review stuff. We can see RSI down here as well, another thing that I like to refer to, and then of course volume. Volume's very important. And then you can see there's various ways to trade. You can do conditional limits, you can do markets, you can do limits, you can vary your sizes, you can vary your leverage, as we went over, and then also you can long, you can short, you can do all that type of fun stuff. So that's kind of generally how the margin trading works within Phemex. If you want to do various things like adjust your leverage, you can adjust your leverage here. If you want to turn this from isolated to cross margin, you can. You can also reverse it. So let's say I'm all of a sudden bearish on Bitcoin and I want to reverse it and go from long to short. I can do that very easily. You also can do take profits and stop losses here, which is of course really nice to be managing your positions, make sure that you're not holding too long or not long enough, all that type of stuff. So can be really nice there. Also, you can do scaling in and scaling out with either limit or market orders. So tons of really, really flexible trading options here if you are interested. Now, again, maybe there's some of you that don't like trading futures or don't like trading leverage. Again, you don't have to trade leverage to trade futures. You can go all the way down to 1x if you want to just kind of stay a little bit more safe. Now, of course, leverage trading does allow you to kind of trade more with less, but again, with that does come risk, so you have to make sure that you understand that. And then that's kind of where we're going to segue into here, going into the trading bot, because the trading bot, in my mind, is a fantastic feature. Even if you don't like leverage trading, you can find value in a trading bot, in my opinion, because you can see there's signal trading. So if you have some signal that you have coded out in like PineScript or whatever from TradingView, you can actually just import that here into Phemex, which is super cool. They also have the futures martingale. If you're not familiar with martingale trading, it's a pretty interesting concept that kind of goes outside of the scope of what we're talking about today. But if you are interested, just feel free to check out futures martingale. It's a pretty interesting one. But the one that I wanted to cover today is the futures grid trading, because grid trading is very, very interesting. It's very unique, and it's something that a lot of people I don't think really understand, and I think it's really cool. So we're going to talk about it today. We're going to go exactly how to set up a futures trading bot if you are interested. They do have some recommended bots here. You can see this Bitcoin futures grid bot. It's a 50x leverage bot. It's done about 200% ROI, which is pretty impressive, right? Now you have to be very, very careful because you can see some of these are leveraged. Now, if you do use leverage, this is very dangerous. So I cannot understate how dangerous it can be to use leverage on on anything, right? Now, of course, the reason that the returns are so large here is because the leverage is so high. We're going to go use maybe some more reasonable leverage amounts just to not give anybody the wrong idea. So let's say we're going to go and we're going to make a grid bot on Bitcoin because we want to trade this volatility. As you can see over the past several months, it's kind of been ranging. Grid bots are particularly good for ranging if you're doing a neutral grid bot. Again, we'll kind of go over the differences there as well. But let's just say, we want to have the lower range here at we'll just say kind of where we're at, 88, we'll just say 89,000. Actually, we'll just say 88,000, so we've got a little bit of a range to go down, but we're just going to say we're expecting to kind of come back up to the top of this range, and then we'll come back down. Again, nobody knows for sure, but let's just kind of make that assumption. We'll put the top of it here at let's say 107K. So basically what we've done here is we've set our range in which we want to trade. Now again, if price goes above or price falls below, you're not going to be kind of within the grid range of this bot. So that's not going to invalidate it, but it's going to essentially wait for you to get back within the range before it continues to kind of buy or place more buy or sell orders. Now at this point, you can choose how many grids you'd like. The point here with choosing grids is essentially kind of like how many steps you want to see. So for example, let's say 5, you can see here, I've got a buy order and then I've got 4 sell orders. Now let's say I want to do something like 12, we can see the grids or the grids become much, much smaller over time. You can see the price variation between these is much smaller. Let's do something like, 50 grids. You can see now they're very, very, very tight, very tightly woven in here. And so every minor movement that you see, you're probably going to see some level of buy or sell. Now, generally, the more grids that you have, 1, the more money you're going to need, or 2, the smaller position sizes you're going to get in per grid. So let's just do something like, let's do like maybe 10. I feel like that's probably a reasonable size, at least to start here. We can kind of see where the various grids are and kind of when they get triggered. Now, after that, we can go and we can decide leverage here. Now, again, the higher the leverage, again, please trade with caution, right? With grid bots, I generally only do, or at least in the past, have only done 1x just because I'm looking to trade the volatility of the market. I'm not necessarily looking to add any more levels of risk there. I would say probably 2 or 3x, especially if you're going to be trading within a range like this, is probably acceptable. But again, I usually stick towards 1x just because I'm looking to minimize my risk profile and exposure here. But let's just say we're going to do 3x because we're kind of in an area where that would be okay. You're not really going to get any of your positions liquidated if, again, you're staying within this grid here. So something to think about there. Now you can kind of choose your investment. You can see the maximum is this 6 million or 600,000? It looks like 6 million USDT, and the minimum is 700. Now the reason that the minimum is so high is because we have so many grids and we also have low leverage. Now let's say we go up to 25x leverage. Again, this is not a recommendation. This is to show you that now you can use much less capital to have the same type of grid bot going on. And again, of course, if you go down to 1x, this goes up even higher. So again, just something to consider there that can impact. Of course, you'll put your investment in here based on kind of what you're wanting to do. And then they do have some kind of advanced settings. You could do profit reinvestment. You've got arithmetic or geometric modes. This is again going to be for more advanced people. I would say if you're not familiar with this, you can turn on profit reinvestment if you want to kind of let this run over time. And then you just you let it go. And basically what goes on here, we actually forgot here, neutral, long, and short. So neutral is going to be the way where you can actually trade going up and down. So you can see price goes down, you buy more, then you're going to set a sell up at this most the grid above it. So you can see kind of exactly how that's done. It's out of the grid range, so it's not going to place any more buy orders. And then now as price continues to go back up, you sell off as you go up, and you can see you're profiting each step of the way here, which is why grid bots can be so profitable and really, really awesome. Now, if you look at long is only going to be trading longs. Shorts, only going to be trading shorts. Where here, you're basically going to be buying when you go down, selling when you go up. Here, you're going to essentially be buying, and then closing. So I would say in a market that you believe is going to be going up, I would say you can use longs. If you think the market's going to be going down, you can use shorts. If you're hoping kind of to just see things ranging, then neutral is kind of what you want to see there. This is kind of like where you're buying here and then you're kind of shorting as you go up. So this can be a little bit more risky kind of when you're going, kind of outside of your range. But if this is just ranging like something like you're expecting to see here, then it can be very, very profitable because you're kind of getting it on both ways as you're kind of moving around. So hopefully that makes sense. But those you can kind of choose, long, short, or neutral. I'm going to choose neutral just because I think that's kind of the best decision here. Now, kind of a PSA regarding grid trading bots overall. This is essentially basically all it takes. You can see you can do AI back testing for free, which is really cool. You just need to put whatever your investment is, and it'll kind of show you how much you would have made. So that's kind of all there is to it in terms of creating the grid bot here. This is something, as I said, I've paid like thousands of dollars for, and so to see that Phemex came out with this for free, super, super cool. Again, you obviously need to understand what you're doing and know what you're doing, but if this is something that you are potentially interested in, I would very strongly recommend you use the link in the description below. Check out Phemex and check out this grid trading bot, as well as just they've got standard kind of leverage trading, all that type of good stuff. They have spot trading as well if you are against leverage and don't want to get into it. Totally cool. You can just do spot trading as well. There's a ton of options and various things there. I believe they got a $4,800 sign up bonus if that is something you're interested in. So definitely some incentive to sign up as well. But one thing I want to talk about kind of higher level with grid trading bots, just so you can kind of have all of the knowledge before you get into it potentially, is when you're trading a grid bot, that essentially what's going on is if you're doing a neutral bot, you start out 50% position of whatever you're trading, 50% cash. As price goes down, you're going to be buying more of that asset. As price goes up, you're going to be selling more of that asset into cash to then buy it back when it goes down. Now, the important part to note here is that when price goes down, if it falls outside of your grid zone, you theoretically could hold 100% of that asset. So it's very, very important that you're not trading some trash meme coin because it has super, super high volume or high volatility, because if/when it goes to zero, you're going to be left holding a ton of useless meme coins. So this is something that I personally like to do in fairly high conviction plays, and typically fairly high conviction plays that are ranging for a certain period of time and somewhat stable-ish, right? Again, you're not looking for them to not move because this type of grid bot actually makes more money the more volatile it is, but you want to make sure that it's an asset that you have somewhat confidence in, right? So, think about actually, let's go take a look at the Ethereum chart, because Ethereum is actually, when I was paying for that other grid bot, Ethereum is actually the one that I was grid trading on. And if you look here, you can see exactly why I was very happy grid trading on Ethereum, because you can see over the course of over a year, Ethereum was basically bouncing between here and here. Right? I mean, maybe, up to about here. So this is very it's very volatile. This is 2,000 down here, and this is 4,000 up here. So it's basically bouncing between 2x multiple different times over the course of about a year or so. So obviously this type of volatility is really, really good to see, and this is what will make you a lot of fairly consistent and safe profits over time. Again, I use safe somewhat loosely, being that this is crypto, but I'm just saying if you are a long-term believer in, let's say, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Cardano, any of those types of what I would call more blue chip cryptos, then if you're comfortable holding 100% of that asset anyway, then you really shouldn't feel too worried about trading a grid bot on that asset, because it's going to give you a ton of flexibility in terms of just making money off of the volatility. And then of course, you can also do trailing stops, I think going up and down to make sure that the grid adjusts as price goes up or down. So again, and then obviously if you're bullish longer term, you can do kind of more of a long bot. And if you're more bearish, longer term or maybe even medium term, then you can do more of a short grid bot. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you today. Like I said, Phemex has been a really, really cool platform that I've really enjoyed. The futures trade, or like the grid trading bots, in my opinion, are super, super cool. I give you a ton of flexibility and a ton of options in terms of kind of customizing how you want to make your own money. And like I said, it's pretty safe. It's automatic. It's easy. Basically, as long as crypto is volatile, which we all know that it is, you're going to be making money, which I think is a really, really cool thing. Of course, again, with that caveat of you need to know what you're trading and what you hold, because that can greatly impact your returns. So anyway, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, please do give me a like and a subscribe. Also, if you're interested in getting signed up and trying it out, like I said, it's free. Obviously, you just need to kind of seed it with some capital and kind of see how it goes. But I would recommend that you give it a try if you're looking for kind of like a low involvement type of investment strategy within crypto that can return some pretty decent performance. Now, again, not financial advice. You need to do your own research. Again, you need to make sure kind of that like counterparty or like counter asset risk, I guess you could say, with kind of understanding what you're pairing your USDT against. That really is kind of the biggest risk there. And then, of course, if you are using leverage on your grid bot, then that, of course, you can get liquidated even though you are taking winning trades otherwise. So just be very, very careful with both the counter asset and the leverage risk. But otherwise, it's a really, really cool bot that I think you should check out if you're looking for more of like a hands-off, passive type of crypto thing that you can kind of just leave there. Also, if you have any comments, questions, thoughts, things like that, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. If you have anything, just drop them there. I do try to read and respond to all of those. So if you have anything that you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do so. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.